What's up, guys? It's Drew back on the Money-ish Show, and today I got a super cool guest here in the studio for you. A guest that has done something that I actually have not done. I know a lot about it. I think it's one of the coolest real estate strategies that are out there. I've taught it for a very long time, and my guest today on the show, I brought him on because Nick actually does this cool strategy called overages or surplus, or I refer to it as foreclosure proceedings. Different words for it. Very, very unique strategy inside of real estate. I brought him on because I want you guys to know how the heck does this thing work. So on that note right there, Nick, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you having me.
Cool show. I mean, cool talking to you so far. And you're one of the unique guests that came to my office, and I probably asked you more questions than maybe you asked me. And because I love what you do.
Yeah.
Because it's so unique.
Yes.
Like inside of real estate investing, right?
Yep.
You have all the different types of strategies that are out there, right? So it's like if you're getting into real estate investing or whatever, you have like, I always call real estate investing is like this umbrella, and underneath it you have wholesale, fix and flip, lease options, subject to, right?
Yep.
Tax liens, apartments, syndications, like, I don't know, 20, 30 different things.
Yep.
Some are more popular than others. And then you have these like super unique ones that I think periodically, because of the culture that we live in, they're just becoming, they've been around forever, but because of the social media and YouTube and everything, some of them are now finally coming to the light of like getting popular. They've been around forever. It's not that you created this or I created this. Dude, it's been there forever.
For sure.
The entire time.
Absolutely.
It's just, it took someone like you to actually do it again, do it again, personally, and then be like, okay, let me show you guys how to go do this.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool strategy. So it's called a lot of stuff. What do you call it?
I just call it overages.
Yeah.
I refer to mortgage overages as MOs, tax overages as TOs.
Okay, so you refer to strategy as overages.
Yep.
I always refer to it as foreclosure proceedings, but it's the exact same concept, right?
Absolutely.
So you have this thing called overages inside of real estate, foreclosures as well as tax sales.
Yep.
You have a concept called overages, and inside there's mortgages, and then there's tax side of it, right?
Exactly.
So you call the mortgage side MOs.
Yep.
And the tax side TOs.
Yep.
Is that for mortgage overages and tax overages?
Exactly.
Ah, I'm a genius. Okay, so you call it MOs and TOs, depending on which category it's coming from.
Exactly.
But this thing called overages is super unique, and I hope to God you blow this thing out of the waters. Not just because it helps the investors, but truth be told, it helps a ton of homeowners.
Absolutely.
That have no idea that this thing exists.
Yep.
And you're actually literally helping a homeowner that's lost their house in a foreclosure or a tax sale possibly recoup a ton of money.
Absolutely.
That their brain never thinks about.
Yep.
So this is like one of those cool strategies where you can actually make money, but legitimately actually help people in foreclosure. Like a lot of people talk about, oh, I help people through foreclosure. This is one that, no, like you actually gave them money back, like straight up money, right?
Yep.
All right, before we get into it, because I want you to share a lot of it with us, the viewers today, let's back up for a second. How old are you right now?
32.
32.
Yep.
Back up a little bit. Tell us about growing up, Nick. Was it poor family, middle class, wealthy? Was it an entrepreneurship family or a very scholastic family? What was it like?
Yeah, so I'd say it was a middle-class family.
Okay.
Dad was a helicopter mechanic.
Okay.
Mom stayed at home until we grew up and we're all in school. Then she went and got a nurse's assisting job. And, middle class, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. We were just kind of middle down the road family. And growing up, I was just taught, like a lot of people, in order to be successful, get good grades. So I got good grades, go to college, get a degree, find a good career, and retire in 30 years.
Yeah, hopefully.
So yeah, exactly. So that's
leave that one point out.
Yeah, right. So that's the path I was on, and that's what I was taught growing up, and that's what I did. My first job out of high school, I worked for the Forest Service.
Okay.
I was actually cleaning toilets.
Okay.
And then I met a girl, got engaged, was like, okay, got to get a real job.
Got to pay some bills now.
So I became a prison guard.
Okay.
At the Utah State Prison.
Back up for a second. Before prison guard, how many brothers and sisters you got?
I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger sisters.
Okay, oldest of 3, 2 younger sisters.
Yep.
You grew up middle class family. School or education, let's say, was pushed.
Yes.
So you didn't grow up in an entrepreneur's home. that was heavy pushing, hey, whatever it is, go do that thing, career or vision or entrepreneurship idea, that really wasn't like being talked about a lot?
It wasn't. However, I think the entrepreneurship seed was planted.
Okay.
Because there was, I stumbled into businesses at a young age, mowing people's lawns.
Yeah.
It was nothing I ever advertised, but people would say, hey, you want to mow my lawn? And there was one thing my dad said. He's like, if you want to do whatever you want, become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's true.
And that line has always stuck with me, even though he was never an entrepreneur.
Right.
But that's always been in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I grew up very similar to you in middle class, and I would even say probably lower middle class. And my dad was always about you have to go chase whatever it is you're going to go do. Yeah. His big thing was like, if you live your whole life wondering what if I tried this and I didn't, he's like, dude, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it, man. And the other thing he always says, like, my dad was like, Drew, you can always go get a job. Like, there's nothing special about having a job. Like, 200 million Americans have a job.
Right.
Like, you can go get it, and if you don't have one, you can go get one. If you need one, you can go get one. If you try and fail, you go get one. But having the ability to go chase your dream is something that very few people get to go do. And he's like, I didn't go do it, and you should go do it, right? And very similar to kind of how you grew up, it sounds like. When you go get this prison guard job, and I told you this when you came to my office, when I think of prison guard, I immediately think of the TV show Prison Break, or Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Like two classic. Shawshank Redemption is like an all-time classic movie. I'm assuming you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
And then you have Prison Break. Did you ever watch that TV show?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
And the whole tattoo of his back was like this crazy thing, Loved both of those things. So when you say prison guard, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
How close am I?
You're pretty close, actually.
Yeah, pretty close.
You're there. You're in with the inmates, and they're all tatted up. And sometimes you find shanks in random places.
Yeah.
And there are stabbings that happen.
Yeah.
You always got to be on your guard. Watch your back.
Now, as a prison guard, obviously I know there's different levels of security, right?
Yep.
Minimum, medium, maximum. What level were you at in the guard? Where did you go in at?
So great question. When I started, I was basically a utility officer.
Okay.
And what that means is when someone else took a day off, I would fill in for their spot.
Whatever that role was.
So that was really cool because I got to work everywhere.
Okay, yeah.
I've worked max, I've worked medium, minor, I've worked mental health facilities, drug rehab facilities. I was able to basically get kind of a sample of everything inside the prison.
Do you fill out the application to become utility?
No, they just, when you get hired, wherever they put you, they put you.
Wow.
There's no really say in it.
What was the scariest thing you saw?
The scariest thing I saw?
Yeah. Where you were like, oh shit. You ever having those oh shit moments when you were in there?
I was pretty fortunate in the fact that I didn't have any crazy stories. I mean, we had stabbings and stuff, but I was not in the area when they happened. But there was always one building, for example, had 400 inmates.
Okay.
And a total of 5 officers.
Oh my God.
So I'm just like, okay.
Let's do some math.
I'm not going to piss these guys off.
Yeah.
Because if they want to at any moment, they can just.
They really could.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 400 on 5.
Yep.
Yeah, I always think about that. Like I had another buddy of mine that was a prison guard, and it was like, dude, you are so outnumbered.
Yes.
Inside there. And some of them you're allowed to carry a gun, and some of them you're not allowed to. Is that right?
Yeah, we weren't allowed any weapons.
No weapons.
So the only thing we had was pepper spray. So we didn't even have a baton, no taser.
Flashlight.
Flashlight and pepper spray.
That's what you had,
That's
man.
what you get.
Yeah, so Craig, so you're doing this, you're getting married at the time, and you're going through whatever, and you have a job that's at least making some money. How do you make this step from I'm a prison guard to I do overages?
Yeah.
It's a big one.
So I did the math one day.
Okay.
With a state job, you can type in your numbers on a pension calculator and figure out what you're going to get when you retire, right?
Okay.
So I did the math one day, and I was like, okay, if I reach a certain level, how much am I going to get?
Yeah.
And it was like less than $5,000 a month. And we're talking 25 years
down the road. After you put the time in, you're at $5,000 a month. Yeah.
So I'm like, this ain't going to work. Like, that's not going to give me the life I want.
Yeah.
The path I'm on is not going to get me where I want to go. I have to find a new path. And that's when I just, started getting on YouTube, and, somebody said most millionaires were made in real estate. I don't know who it was. I heard it somewhere on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's look into real estate. And that's how I transitioned into the overages. I started studying fix and flip, started studying wholesaling, did some wholesale deals, and then stumbled across this strategy of overages.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and then I bought a course on it, implemented what I learned, did some deals, and was like, okay, this actually works.
Yeah, the thing, if you go back for a second here, is like that moment, and this, like from the viewer standpoint, there's that moment where you're at the prison, you're a prison guard, you do the math, and you're like, it ain't gonna work, bro.
Yep.
And at that very moment is like this decision that people go through of like, okay, what am I gonna do then?
Yep.
Like, what am I gonna go do? And I think it's a decision that people a lot of times face. I've done a ton of teachings and trainings, and it's like they've had that question, but they almost refuse to answer it, and they just keep going down. In your example, the prison guard, and it's like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I'll do nothing instead, basically. And there's that indecision. Yeah. And I always feel like indecision is making a decision.
Absolutely.
It is making a decision. Yep. You chose to do nothing. You chose to stay right where you were in this process, and it's a pivotal like fork in the road, right?
Yes.
Very easy. You could have said, well, I'm you know what? I got bills. I got newly married. I may have kids on the way. Whatever it is. I'm going to stay right here, and maybe something's going to change if whatever, right? You start making up things like, well, if a new president comes in, or if we expand our state police department, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And you start like trying to justify of what could happen.
Yeah.
Or there's the go to the right side, which is like, or veer to the right, whatever you're going to say, and it's like, okay, I could go try blank, whatever blank is, but it is scary, dude. Like it's not an easy freaking decision to go do. It is like jumping off a freaking bridge and hoping there's a net underneath there.
Yes. Well, it's hard too, because like when you're growing up with this idea, right, and then you question and ask yourself, is what I've been taught going to get me where I want to go? Yeah. And you find out the answer is no. Yeah. Your whole world's been shattered. Yeah, exactly. You just realize like everything people told me
for whatever, 18, 23 years, whatever it is, until you did the math, right? Yep. And it's a shell-shocking, like, wait a second. And it's not that they were trying to on purposely lie to you. I don't think that, like, in your case, your parents, my parents, were like, oh, if you do this right here, that they were trying to trick us or lie about the concept. I think it was just the best knowledge they had at the time.
Yes, I agree.
This was the best they could give you of saying, okay, I don't know exactly how to go, live the life that you want, and with all fairness, like in my parents' example as well, I obviously didn't go do that, right? It was like maybe my dad or mom, but here's the best thing that I know to go tell you to go do, right? And then it's like you take that when you grow up in a good family, and then you do the math, and you're like, what were you guys telling me? Yeah. Like, why would you tell me this? And it is like a shake the foundation of like your training, your upbringing, your closest mentors at the time. Yeah. And you start to second guess everything. Yep. Absolutely. What made you, if you could give us some insight here, what made you, let's just say, veer to the right to say, okay, I got to go figure real estate or something out? What do you think made you at that moment say, I'm not going to stay, I got to go figure? What made you go right?
One, I had a really good wife. Have a really good wife. Okay. She said, just jump, just do it, because you can always go back to the prison. And I think I'm super grateful for the prison, because I mean, I was making less than 40 grand a year as a guard. So I'm pretty like, we're kind of near the poverty level at that point, right? Sure. So we're at the bottom. So the only place to go is up, right? Yeah. And so there was always that, like, if it doesn't work, what am I going to lose? Yeah. Nothing.
What really do I have to lose here? It's like you're putting $1 million on the line saying, okay, I'm going to put my entire $1 million up for risk, and if it doesn't work out, I'll have zero. Yeah. It's like, bro, I'm already at zero. Yep. I'm already at zero. If I go try something, and again, I mean, I know we'll probably talk a little bit about this, but I'm not saying that you should quit your job and go do X. Yeah. There's a process of like you're doing both for a while. Yep. And trying to like figure it out, and then eventually you got to make the choice. Eventually you have to say, okay, I got to do one or the other because I have no more time. I can't keep doing both.
Right.
Which is kind of what you did, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had done a couple deals while still working at the prison.
Yeah.
Before I just quit my job.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped because I knew that it worked.
Yeah.
I knew the strategy worked because I'd done it.
Right.
And so that's where it's like, you know, sometimes you hear, oh, just go quit your job and figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't really agree with that necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, I think you should really you should be smart about it. Do something part-time before you make the big leap.
Yeah.
And then try to cushion yourself too. Like, I mean, we did make some sacrifices when I quit. We sold our house, moved into my in-laws' basement. I didn't want to do that in my late 20s.
Yeah.
But I also understood that if I was trying to build a business and was stressed out about bills, that it was going to hinder my growth, right?
Yep.
So, you know, we sold our house. We had a baby nest egg to go a few months on to get the business taken to take off. So.
There's a word that you use there that I think a lot of every entrepreneur, I believe, knows this word, but I think very few people, when they go maybe sell something or try to make something seem like it's really, really good in entrepreneurship, ever want to talk about this word called sacrifice.
Yeah.
Every entrepreneur, I believe, knows what that word means because they've done it.
Yep.
But a lot of times, sometimes, especially in the world we live in on like Instagram and, you know, social media, we have this like perceived life versus real life. And it's built this thing of like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur and everything in my life is wonderful and great and always up. The word that I feel like entrepreneurs should share a lot of is the word sacrifice. Like, dude, I've told on the show many times the stuff that I had to go sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it was not freaking easy, bro. Yeah. And like that, like who at whatever age, you said late 20s, who at whatever, 27 years old, being married, wants to go to their wife and say, okay, here's my idea. Yeah. We're going to sell our house. And we're going to live in a basement, okay? And I'm going to go try to launch blank and hope it works out. If it doesn't, I'm going to go back to be a prison guard and we got to go figure out how to go buy another house again. Like, no one wants to go do that.
Right.
But it is what it takes. Stuff like that to go accomplish to get to the other side.
For sure.
When you're not born with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, there will be sacrifice made somewhere.
Yes.
I'll give you another sacrifice. How about the sacrifice of you working, whatever, 8, 9, 10 hours a day as a prison guard and then going home and studying YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, well, again, what people don't want to talk about is other people want to go and watch Netflix, which I don't care. Go home and watch Netflix. But then don't bitch about not being in business either. Like, dude, there's sacrifices you're going to have to give up if you want to go do that. You know what I mean? And I love it that you mentioned the word. As soon as you mentioned it, I wanted to talk about it because I think it's so relevant and so non-talked about. Yeah. From an entrepreneurship standpoint, you know?
Well, it really is. Like, our reality is based on the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis. And it's like, you have to choose. You have to make a decision. Are you going to do this thing or are you going to do this thing? Yeah. Like, I started out the prison 12-hour graveyard shifts. There was some downtime during the night. Sure. So what did most officers do? They get on YouTube. They'd watch Netflix. They'd watch movies. Yeah. I'm not saying that's wrong or bad. It is what it is.
It's your life.
But what I did is I studied YouTube. I studied real estate. Yeah. I read books instead of just binge watching Netflix on the downtime that I had. Yeah. And so it really is like, you have to decide, what do you want more? Yeah. Do you want the comfort of today or do you want what could be tomorrow? The life that you want tomorrow.
And a lot of times it's not even comfort though. It's just perceived comfort.
Yes.
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? It's actually you're super uncomfortable because you're not living the life that you want. You're not taking your wife or your family on the vacation that you want to. You're not giving the Christmas that you want to. You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing that stuff. You're not comfortable, but it's just a perceived comfortability. Yep. If I just stay here, at least I know that I can on Friday get this check and I'll have just enough to do this, and hopefully I'll wait till next tax return and I get a $3,000 check back and we can go do something fun. Like, dude, it's not comfortable. You know what I mean? Right. But it's perceived comfortability for a majority of people that are out there, right? But it goes back to that, you got to go through the sacrifice. So go down the road, you go get into real estate. You do wholesale. The thing about wholesale is, obviously, as you know, that's where a lot of people start at. Yes. In the wholesale world. And I'm totally fine with it. It doesn't bother me. I never liked it doing the wholesale side. Just something about it was not I always say in real estate, I think that there's real estate investing DNA. And what I mean by that is we all have different DNA. Yeah. We all have different things that we're good at, not good at, things that we like, don't like. It's our different talents, if you will. And I think in part of real estate investing, to figure out what strategy you want to do, you need to figure out what you're good at. Like, what piece of it are you good at? Because if you're not good at logistically running multiple crews over top of each other on timelines inside of fix and flips, you should not go do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just something you shouldn't go do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money you could or could not make. It doesn't fit you. You're going to hate it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is, and so a lot of people start with wholesale because it's kind of the one that's pushed the most with the no money down thing. And I think a lot of people get burned out on real estate investing because they start there and never move past it and never really get off the ground with it.
Yeah.
Never really do a bunch of deals. And like, real estate doesn't work. And it's part of it is because you hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you hate wholesaling?
I didn't love it, for sure.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
There was just something about it. Like, the whole premise is you got to be able to negotiate a discount, right? Mm-hmm. And deep down inside, I was like, what service am I providing? Like, deep down, I'm like, this owner can stick a for sale by owner sign in their yard and get way more than what I'm willing to offer. Mm-hmm. And so now, under certain circumstances, wholesaling can be a true service to somebody.
Yep. Timelines, where it's at, and so forth.
Yep. But in a lot of cases, it isn't. It's not providing a real service to the client.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't comfortable with that, and for that reason, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so that's what drew me to overages, is because of...
It's such a cool...
With wholesale, you're trying to get them to buy at a discount, right? You're trying to say, hey, I want to get a deal. With overages, I'm coming to a homeowner and say, hey, I'm so sorry you lost your house.
But that's over.
But it's over, and I think there's some money that I can recover for you.
Yeah.
And that's received much differently.
Well, yeah, 100%. Like when I teach in class, like that's a different conversation that you're having with this homeowner. A homeowner, let's just call it pre-foreclosure right now, the conversation is based off of, can I convince you to sell me your house?
Yep.
Right? And again, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that's the conversation you're going to have of, can I convince you, the homeowner, in pre-foreclosure to sell me your house? Now, here's the thing. Majority of the time, the homeowner does not actually want to sell you their house.
Right.
If they could have it their way, they would have paid the bills and still stay in the house. Mm-hmm. That's what they actually want majority of the time.
100%.
So for me as a person in business, it's like, well, my customer, pre-foreclosure, it's me giving them something that they don't actually want.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's not what they need. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, that's why I didn't like it. It's like, yeah, but you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what you want to do. This is what you have to do. And I'm going to convince you to go do this, but the conversation is not what you want to do. On the, what I called foreclosure proceedings, it's a different conversation.
Yep.
It's like, hey, do you want me to go get you a bunch of money back from your house? Mm-hmm. Like, the real crappy part of foreclosure is done.
Yeah.
And you're coming in after it, where you're not coming in saying, let me stop foreclosure. The conversation is, hey, look, you went through foreclosure 2 years ago, or whatever it was, 6 months ago. And it's done, it's passed, and we cannot go back in history and recreate it and redo it. It's over. But what if I told you, I think, looking into it, there may be, whatever the number, right? 21,000, 5,000, 12,000, 4, whatever the number is.
Yep.
I could go get you back from your house.
Yeah.
It's like what?
Yep.
No, you misunderstood. I was foreclosed on. I don't get any money. I was foreclosed on. And that's not true.
Right.
It's not freaking true. And I did real estate for, 12 years, hundreds of deals before I ever knew about this. I was the guy buying it at the auction, buying the house at the foreclosure steps. Little did I know there's actually a totally different game that's way different that you could be playing.
Yep.
All right, so from a high level, let's kind of break down what an overage is for the viewers.
Yep. So you mentioned foreclosure auction. So if someone quits paying their mortgage, bank's going to foreclose, right? They put it up at auction where members of the public can go and offer to buy it. Sometimes investors will pay more than what's owed to the bank. Quick example. If a homeowner owes the bank $100,000,
Okay.
it goes to auction and it sells for $125,000. Well, by law, the bank is only going to take what they're owed.
So that's a big, big piece of it right there.
Yep.
The bank is only allowed to take what the bank is owed.
Yep.
And that was put in place so that banks couldn't, at the last minute on year 28 of 30-year mortgage, be like, oh, sorry, we're going to foreclose on you. You bought it for $100,000. It's actually worth $200,000 now. You only owe $12,000. We're going to foreclose on you, and any money that it sells for, we get. Because if that was the case, that's what would be happening.
Yeah.
They would find any reason possible to foreclose on people at the last minute because they can make all this money.
Yep.
So it's a very good law that was put in place that said, as the lender, the bank, you're only allowed to get back what's owed to you in this foreclosure. Now, there's some asterisks, if you will, of not just the loan amount, but they can get back
attorney's fees,
attorney fees,
late
right?
fees,
whatever it is. There's some stuff they can reclaim that was their money.
Yep.
But in this example, the loan was for $100,000. It went to auction. It sold for $125,000. So there's $25,000 left over that legally does not belong to the bank.
Exactly.
So the question is, well, who gets it? Who does it belong to?
The homeowner.
And the answer is it's the homeowner.
Yep.
Last person on the deed of that property that's who it belongs to.
Exactly.
The problem is no homeowner freaking knows that.
Yeah.
Like no homeowner thinks, okay, well, honey, today's our auction day that we're going to get foreclosed on. At least why don't we go down the auction and see if we're going to get any money back?
Yep.
Like no homeowner has that conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? They normally steer completely clear of the auction in general because they don't want to be there when their house is being sold. But then no one goes there and says, all right, well, let's just see if we get any money back. Like no one has a conversation.
Well, here's the other problem too. When there is money left over, the bank is going to send out a notice, say, hey, there's money. But here's the problem. They're going to send that letter, that notice, to the last known address, which is the home that gets foreclosed on.
Like I used to teach this, and I'm like, now, I know this sounds crazy, guys. I know you think this is stupid, but the bank is going to send to the last known address of you, which was the house that you just got foreclosed on. Like it's crazy, but that's where it's going to go.
Yep.
And
if you don't leave a forwarding address, you never get it.
And truth be told, and I was teaching this, I'm like, truth be told, I know we could all be upset at the bank because it's like, well, why didn't you go find me? Well, look, they're doing what the law says. Yep. The law says that they got to notify the last known address. There was one piece of the puzzle that people don't want to address, which is very, very few times does the homeowner go put a forwarding address up at the post office.
Right.
And the question is, okay, well, let's talk about it. Why does the homeowner not put a forwarding address there majority of the time?
Sometimes they don't have one yet.
One could be they don't have one.
Yeah.
B to me was always simple. If you go through foreclosure,
you have other debts.
You have a lot of other debts. That's not the first bill you haven't paid. It's the last bill you haven't paid.
Yep.
And therefore, you've been getting notices for this and car and insurance and power bill and water bill and cell phone bill and delinquents on this and you're getting served papers over here. And so the homeowner, if you stop and think about it, that goes through foreclosure, along the line is eventually like, okay, look, there's not much upswing on this foreclosure, but at least one thing that's cool is I can kind of go underground for a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm going to leave this house, and I'm not going to tell anybody, meaning the bill collectors, and they're all going to send their crap there, and I'm not going to be there. So, ha, come and find me.
Exactly.
I think that's the main reason that the homeowners don't put the mail forwarding out. And I totally get it. Like, it makes logical sense.
Yep.
There's only one problem. There was probably one piece of mail that they actually really wanted, which was the letter from the bank stating, dude, you got leftover money here from the auction. But they never get it.
Yep.
So then the question is, what happens to the money? Like, well, the bank notified, so now where's it at?
Yeah. It's, depending on what type of sale it was, if it's a foreclosure, non-judicial, that's probably sitting in some interest-bearing account in some law office, the law office that handled the foreclosure.
Yep.
Now, here's the other thing that people don't talk about. If a law firm or a county is sitting on money that's collecting interest that they get to keep, do you think are they going to try and find that person to give their money back?
What's their advantage?
There is none.
They have no advantage, no reason to go track you down, spend their time, their money, their efforts, their staff to go find you, to give you money, that they're making money off of, and then they got to cover all the expenses to go do it.
Yep.
There's no reason for them to.
Exactly.
Therefore, they don't.
Yep.
They don't.
Yep.
This is where the whole investment strategy of overages comes along.
Yeah.
So big picture, kind of wrapping it up. They owed 100. It sold for 125. Whatever. Let's just make it the story, the example that it sits at the foreclosure, the trust that foreclosed on it, escrow account. The strategy overall is you as the investor are going to notify the homeowner.
Yep.
Find this homeowner that was owed money. Try to track this person down. They could be out of state. They could, obviously they moved, so they could be anywhere.
Yep.
You're going to try to track them down and then work a deal with them on this leftover money.
Yep.
Right? Give us an example of kind of how that would look.
So I'll track down a homeowner, you know, try to call them, text them, send letters, call relatives, whatever I need to do to find that homeowner.
Sure.
Use Facebook. And then when I reach out to them, I just say, hey, I understand you own this property. It sold for this much. Now, if you owed less than that, there may be some money available, which I believe there is. My service that I do is I help people like you recover funds after a foreclosure. This is how it works. I do all the work. I hire the attorneys. I file all the paperwork. And in return for my work and my efforts, I'd like to take a percentage. How does 70-30 sound? You keep 70%, I'll take 30. You don't have to do anything other than review these documents and give me permission to move forward, and I'll do the rest.
Yep.
So on a $20,000, if there's $20,000 and I negotiate a 70-30 split, the homeowner is going to get $14,000 and I'm going to get $6,000. And that's it. So I only get paid if I am successful in recovering their money, and there's no upfront cost to them, so there's no risk to them. And that's a basic deal.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of times in class, I always get the question asked to me like, yeah, but Drew, what if you go talk to them and once they know there's money left over, why would they even talk to you? Why don't they just go get themselves? Right? That question happens all the time.
I love that question. This is how I answer that question.
Yep.
I acknowledge that fact, and I say you could do this yourself. You can go hire an attorney. You can pay them out of your pocket. You can do all the work, handle all the paperwork, and that's totally fine. You can do that, or I'll do it for you. The thing is, this is a service-based business, and it's like getting your oil changed. It's
Great
very
example.
easy to change your oil. Any of us can go watch a 10-minute YouTube video and know how to change our oil.
Yep.
But what do most of us do?
Pull into Quick Lube and sit in our car while someone else does it.
We pay someone else to do it.
Yep.
And that's the same thing here.
100%. It's just a service you're providing them. They can take it or not take it.
Yep.
The thing about it is when you made the offer to them, there's a couple of things you got to think through, like the psychology of it. Is number one, you're coming to someone that has been through the foreclosure, has kind of moved past, and doesn't want to go back in time, if you will. Like, it's a tough subject. It's a sensitive subject. It's an emotional subject.
Yes.
And for them to like want to say, okay, I went through foreclosure, whatever, 9 months ago, and this dude shows up and says there could be money left over, and I can go find it if I want to. One question that I think psychology that happens to them on the psychological side is like they don't want to go live in that bad place again.
100%.
They don't want to go dig in that black, dark cloud again, you know what I mean? And that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is, let's just be honest. When people are like, well, why don't they just go get it themselves? I always would answer it back with, why wasn't stopping them the first 9 months from getting it? Like, I didn't stop you from getting it.
Yeah.
The same reason that they won't go get it when you talk to them is the same reason they didn't go get it for the first 9 months. Because legitimately, they just don't know where, how, when, who do I talk to, they don't know any of those statements.
Yeah.
Again, I've never stopped you from getting it.
Right.
So why do you think you're going to go get it now? Just because some guy said there could be money there.
Yeah.
Truth is, they're not. They just don't. I didn't know where to go, and I was a freaking big guy buying the houses. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was the one paying the overages. I didn't know about it, right?
Yeah.
And again, then it's just like, it's a service side. Like,
Yep.
Hey, you're going to go pay the attorney, or I'll just go pay it myself.
Yep.
You have no risk. I'll take on all the risk. If nothing's there, I lose everything and you lose nothing.
Yep.
To me, it's such a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
Versus we can have the same conversation and flip it, and let's talk about the wholesale side.
Yeah.
And it's a different conversation.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, how about I buy your house for half off?
Yep.
It's like, what? What? It's a different freaking conversation. And again, sure. I'm not saying it's a bad conversation. I'm just saying it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And I just never enjoyed the pre-foreclosure conversation. These
Same.
are like actually fun conversations to have.
Yeah.
And they're like, no way. I don't have any money. I went through foreclosure. You're like, no, that's not how it actually works, man. You're actually owed this money. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. And what's crazy too is you're not just, in a lot of cases, you're not just giving them money. It goes much deeper than that. Because let's face it,
100%.
Foreclosure is caused by what? Death, divorce, or some sort of disaster.
Yep.
You know. And so when you're able to give them some money back, it's almost like that you've officially closed that chapter in their life.
100%, dude.
And they get to walk away and they say, thank you for this money, but also thank you for helping me move on.
I agree with you so much. That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, there's such a psychological part of the overages that I don't think just people understand. And I know I've heard I've been in real estate for 20 plus years now, honestly. I've heard every person talk about the psychological side of wholesale and people are crying because you bought their house from. And I get it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, that it hasn't happened. I'm just telling you, it is a different conversation on the overages and the feeling of the overages than your typical normal wholesale transaction, right? Like, yes, I think there's always that rare bird that's like, oh my God, thank you so much. But the majority of the time, they weren't like pumped that they were losing their house. They weren't like, oh, perfect, you're gonna buy it for half off, what could be better? Yeah. Well, how about 100%? That could be better. You know what I mean? Like, the majority of them are more of that side. And in the overages side, the majority of them are like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm going to get $14,000 back? Like, are you freaking serious? Yeah. And it is that like closure of the book, or I also say that it also can launch the new beginning for them. Mm-hmm. It's like starts this new path of like, you know what, dude? Okay, I'm gonna move forward. Like I can go do this. Right? I mean, there's the same thing, but I always talk about like it feels like this. You're giving this like hope to them, if you will. Yeah, for sure. And one thing I want to say too is, I mean, there's always going to be objections, right? Yeah. Like with wholesaling, there's objections. Like, why would I sell you my house at a discount? In overages, there are objections. Here's the objection. This is too good to be true. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This has to be a scam. Sure. And so at that point, you have to learn how to overcome that. It's like, walk them through the math. This is what it sold for. How much did you owe? And number two, if it was a scam, I would be asking you for money. Yeah. But I'm not asking you for money. I'm asking for no money. Yeah. So that's overages is, the concept is simple, but there's still objections you're going to face. There's still problems you got to solve. It's not just super easy, although the concept is simple to understand. I like to keep it real and say, hey, there's still work involved. You're still going to have to be able to guide these people, help them overcome their fears and objections. But it is a different conversation. And how do you go to the trust? How do you go to the trustee? How do you go to the county? Yeah. How do you get this money back? It's not as simple as walking with a piece of paper like, hey, I'm here to collect my 20 grand. There's actually a lot of stuff that goes into it. We're talking very high level of concept of, because most people have never heard of the concept of overages, what you call mows and tows. Yep. And we haven't even got to there's a whole other angle of the tax side of it that happens at tax sales a lot too. I just absolutely love this strategy, dude. I'm glad that you're doing it. I'm actually even more pumped that you're actually teaching it. Yeah. Because again, with like technology, I think it's what it needs to get out. I don't care if it gets out to the freaking homeowners even, like just, dude, get the message out that in foreclosure, there is this leftover amount that could be there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not, but there could be there, especially in up markets. Yes. When the markets go up, like they are hot right now, it's going to create more overages than normally in a down market because people are buying a lot for houses at the auctions now. If they want to know more about it from you, where can they go to get more training, information, videos? Yeah, there's a ton of free videos on the concept on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Just Nick Fullmer Overage Syndicate. Okay. Or you can just go to overagesyndicate.com. Overagesyndicate.com is the website they could go to. We'll put it in the show notes as well. You got all kinds of videos, trainings on both those places. They could learn more about it. Dude, I'm just saying, if you're in real estate or you're trying to look into real estate or get into it, if I was like going back, 20 years ago, and I was like, okay, well, should I start in wholesale or should I start in overages? I'm just telling you, I would start in overages. Yeah. That's what I would do. It's a different market. It's a different customer. It's a different conversation. It's a different money amount. It's just different.
It is.
It's just different.
There's a lot of pros to both new investors and existing investors. If you're brand new, just starting out, you don't have a lot of money to go fix and flip or buy a rental. Well, you don't really need any money for overages because you're not buying anything.
Right.
You may need a few $100 for attorneys, or you just work a contingency deal with them.
Yeah.
If you're an already existing investor, if you have experience buying at the auction, just pay attention when you're at the auction and see what sells for substantially more than that opening bid.
Yep.
And just add this onto your existing real estate business.
Yep. You get tack it on. You're already at the auction. A lot of these guys and girls are.
Yep.
You're already either bidding on it or watching the bid take place. You don't want to buy it, but you're watching it take place while you're there. And you're literally, the data is literally right in front of you at that moment, you know, of what's going on there.
Or even if you're doing just the pre-foreclosure stuff.
Yeah.
If you're already talking to homeowners before the auction, just make sure you track what happens to that property.
Yeah.
Because you've already established a relationship with them, and then you see that it sells for more than what they owed. Well, go back because you already have that relationship.
Yeah.
So just capitalize on that time that you spend on the pre-foreclosure side.
The other thing I just want to go back and cover here for a second is that, again, I know we're making it seem super easy, but different states have different laws. They do different things.
Yep.
They have different amounts and different processes and procedures. Do you, in your training or videos, whatever it is, do you go through the different states and how different they work and don't work?
Yeah, I do. So I have what I've created is like a 50-state guide that has all the foreclosure laws, all the tax sale laws, and then kind of an overview of what to look for. Are there fee limitations or what's the process? So yeah, I've got that in my training.
Give us an example, fee limitation. What does that mean you say fee limitation? It's a word that most real estate investors have never heard, right? What does it mean?
So a good example of Washington State.
Okay.
If you do this overage business in Washington State and you want to help somebody recover their funds, you can only charge 5%. Of
whatever's recovered.
Whatever's recovered.
Okay.
So if it's $200,000 overage, you know, you're going to get what? 5% of that is 10K?
Yeah, 10,000, yep.
Yeah, so that would be your fee. That's the max you could make.
Even if the homeowner agrees something else, it's irrelevant. The state is saying 5%?
That's what the state says, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the homeowner can do what they want, but the homeowner could also come back later, if they really probably wanted to, and say, hey, I was taken advantage of. I agreed to 50%, but state law is at 5%. I mean, it could open up a can of worms for you down the road. Certain states have the fee limitations, and certain states don't have them, and they're different process. Just like in foreclosures, right? Yeah. And the tax liens and tax deeds versus tax liens versus the hybrid states, like it gets confusing pretty quick, and all this different thing. Let's talk about business in general for a second. If we move on for a little bit here, you know, as you go down that process of prison guard to watching YouTube to then doing deals to then quitting your job to then being full-time as an entrepreneur and then saying, okay, I'm gonna go to the next level and I'm gonna go teach on YouTube what I used to learn from it and so forth. Let's talk about just maybe personal development side for a second here. As a person goes through this journey that you've been on, you're currently on, right? It's not stopping right now for you. Yeah. Talk about personal development for a second. What does that look like in the sense of, I got 2 questions here. Number one, do you believe in it or not? Like personal development, mindset type stuff. That's my first question. And the second question is, if on the personal development side, what would be someone watching, what would be 3 things you'd tell them to go do out of the gate maybe on the personal development side? So number one, do you believe in the personal development mindset side?
I do, yeah, absolutely 100%. I think it's crucial to be able to, you have to become a different person if you want to create a new life for yourself. Yeah. That's just the bottom line. So you have to learn to develop yourself, learn new skills, acquire new skills. And so for the second question, I would just say, 1, read books, whatever it is, if it's financial literacy, business, marketing. I'll say this, 2 of the things when you're just starting out in business, brand new, I think 2 of the most important skills you need to learn and acquire is 1, how to acquire leads, and 2, how to turn those leads into sales. And what that basically means is learn marketing and learn sales. If you can master those 2 at a fairly high level, you're well on your way to a better income, better lifestyle, and a good foundation for a business.
Yeah, I mean, on entrepreneurship, I tell everybody, all entrepreneurship, every piece of entrepreneurship, one common denominator is sales.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
There's no way to have a business without the sale. Like,
Yep.
let's name anything you want to name. Dog walking, there's a sale.
Yep.
Right? Just anything. If you're going to go in business, you're going to have an entrepreneurship, there's going to be a sale. Therefore, you better start studying in very high levels how the sales process works and when to do it, when not to do it, et cetera. Another piece is dead accurate, is lead gen. Okay, so you call it marketing, I call it lead gen, right? Same thing, but you could say I'm going to go start a dog business and I'm going to sell my services for $25 a session or whatever. It's irrelevant unless you have a potential customer.
Yes.
Like, it's irrelevant.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to hit those two pieces of entrepreneurship to be at any point in business.
Yep.
And vice versa. You can have all the lead gen you want, but if you know how to convert it to a sale, all you have is a big pile of data, if you will, that with no customers out of it.
Yeah. I think there's two columns, I think, when you're an entrepreneur. You have to get the skills, right? The lead gen, the sales. But then there's also the mindset piece that goes with the skill.
Yeah.
Because when I think, and this was me, when I heard sales, if you told me about sales 5 years ago, I'm thinking about the car salesman.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Sales, I have to lie, I have to be slick, sneaky in order to be good at sales.
Yeah.
But then I started learning about sales. And sales is not trying to get one over on someone.
Nope.
Sales is service.
And it could be.
It could be.
Right. Like, there are let's call them snake oil salesmen.
Yeah, they exist.
They exist. And
yep.
yes, as a salesperson, I believe that you have to make a choice into how you choose to make a sale. And whether that choice be, you can be this slimy, like, underbelly creature that does exist, or sales can just be a service. Like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is what we try to accomplish, and if this fits what you do, hey, there could be a great opportunity here.
Yeah.
If not, totally cool.
Yep, 100%. And I had to change my mindset around sales
Yeah.
and then learn how to do sales. But what was really interesting too is, I'm not a sales guy, like, naturally. I'm very introverted. I'm probably one of the most boring people you ever talk to. Listen to my monotone voice, But what it is because there are those snake sales people, if you're a person that just tells the truth and presents your service or your product and how it can help people, sales is not hard.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Just be yourself. Be honest. Say, this is what I have. This is how it can help. If you're interested, let me know. Yep. And it's as simple as that.
It really is as simple as that, dude. You can obviously deep dive into all kinds of different into stuff there, but at the end of the day, just be yourself, man. This is what I have to offer, and here's the price, and here's what I charge for it. I mean, it's really is that simple because, and I think the other part of sales that you have to take hold of is, it's okay if they don't do business with you.
Yes.
Like, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're trying to bat 100%. I'm only trying to do business with people that want to do business with me.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to, dude, that's totally okay. Like, no problem. Because there's other people that do. So really, if you think about, for me, I always think about sales, I'm not trying to change someone's mind.
Right.
I'm just trying to find the ones that want what I have to offer.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And out of the pool of potential customers, I'm just looking for those. Yeah. And I may have to go through 9 no's or 7 or 20, whatever it is. But eventually I find the ones that want to do business with me. And you'll enjoy sales way more if you focus on those. And you'll enjoy your business way more.
Yep.
When you're working with people that want to be a part of what you got going on.
Yeah. It's all a numbers game, right? Like, I love what you said, like, don't try to bat 100.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, and I mean, I'm not a business guru, but I think most businesses, 95% of the people you present your offer to, they're going to say no.
Yep. You'll have way more no's than yeses.
That 5% will say yes, but that 5% could be $1 million business, a $5 million, whatever it is. Yeah. It doesn't take a lot to get to a high level.
I played sports growing up, and I always compared it to baseball. Because in baseball, it's a weird sport in the sense of, as a hitter, you could fail basically 7 out of 10 times your entire career. So 10 at bats. In 7 at bats, you did your team no good, and actually you did your team bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because that means you got out.
Yep.
So 7 out of 10 times when you went to the baseball plate, you did bad or harm to your team winning the game. Okay, now think about that.
Yeah.
That means you're not 55 out of 5 would be 50%, so at least 50% you were good. Nope. In baseball, if you failed 7 out of 10 times and you did bad for your team, but for your entire career, you did 7 out of 10 fails, you'd be in the Hall of Fame. As one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Yeah.
You'd have a lifelong batting average of 300 something,
Yeah.
which means you'd have a ton of hits, a ton of doubles, a ton of triples, home run. Like, you would go in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But you failed 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
I think sales is the same way. It's like, dude, you're going to have way more no's
Yep.
than you're going to have yeses.
Yeah.
But it's one of those unique sports that you'll have more no's than yeses, but you'll end up in the Hall of Fame if you just keep going down the path
Yeah.
and just get your yeses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that, man. I played sports too, so I played football and,
Yes.
and wrestled. And I wrestled from 4th grade to all the way through high school.
Uh-huh.
From 4th grade to sophomore year, losing seasons.
Yeah.
I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Junior and senior year, though,
Yeah.
you know, I was a region champ. I wasn't a state champ, but so I wasn't a great wrestler. But
You put the time in.
sports taught me, like, you just got to stay in the game.
Yep.
One, get in the game, because that's one thing. Most people don't even get in the game. Most
Very true,
people
man.
don't even give themselves the opportunity.
Is that fork in the road we're
It's that
talking
fork.
about, right?
Yep.
That you went that way.
Yep.
It would have been easier for you to go this way.
Yes.
Because you were already down that road. It wasn't. You wouldn't have changed anything.
Yep.
What you did on that Monday, you did on Tuesday, same Wednesday. There's no change.
Yep.
This is like drastic change.
Yeah.
It's much harder though.
Yeah.
To get in the game.
Yeah.
You got to get in the game, bro.
Get in the game, and then if you stay in long enough,
Get in the game.
you'll
stay
get
in the game.
somewhere.
All right, bro. Let's hit it right here. I got Money Is with Nick Fullmer here. Almost the same suit, same
Almost.
style for sure, though. Yeah, you got the gray
I got
and
the
black,
gray and
and
black
this is the
instead of
blue,
the
and the
blue
white,
and white.
right? Is this your? This must be your like professional look here.
It is,
that you
yeah.
queued up as your brand, and you grew the beard out.
I did,
on
and
this
the
one.
hair a little bit.
Yeah. All right, man. So you fill in the answer here on
Okay.
Money Is, and then sign that below it there. The old John Hancock. Got it?
Yep.
All right, man. That's a good one, dude. First time for this answer. This is my favorite part of the show because I always hope for new answers. And it also reveals a lot about the person, truthfully. And this is first time answer that we've ever had on it. So Nick's, Fullmer's answer is money is proof of service. Money is proof of service. All right, man, let's break that down. Love the answer. What is it? Why'd you go with that? What do you mean by it?
So, as I grew in business and as I left, you know, I didn't come from a lot of money, right? 30K, corrections officer.
Yeah.
When I first started in business, my first year, yeah, I made 100K. That last 100K came in the last 3 quarters of the year, and then I've doubled my income since then. But what I learned is, when I received money, it was because I did something for someone else. And the bottom line is, if you need money, if you need income, just find a way to serve someone else.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
All the way back to the simple point of a lemonade stand as a kid. Like,
Yeah.
You're providing a service. There was someone thirsty, and you gave them lemonade for a quarter. Now you have money because you provided a service.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like at any point, if you need money, go find a way to serve someone, provide a service for someone, and you can get it.
Yep.
A lot of times the word that I use and use a lot, and I think it means very similar to the same thing, is provide value.
Yeah.
I use that word a lot in business. Is like when we sat down today, I'll just use our example today. When I sat down today with you, my whole brain was like, okay, what do you do? What do you want to do? Like, what do you do in your business? And my brain was like, how can I provide value to whatever it is that you're doing? Like, okay, let me figure it out of how can I serve, be of service, provide value to you to go see if we could go figure this out of how I could provide service for you. Like every day of my life, I wake up and try to figure out how to do that. And one thing I can tell you is I don't worry about money. Like, and that's the thing about money is if you're so leading and driving with money as like your end goal, it's a miserable life. And I've done it. Like at the beginning of my career, you know, you're just getting started. Like, and I get it. I don't blame anybody, but if you're just driven by money, dude, it's a miserable life because it's actually it's like a mirage. Yeah. It never really gets there, dude. Yeah. It never gets there. And whenever you can change the point of like, hey, let me just provide you a service, let me provide you value, what you'll find is that the money will follow right behind it. Yeah. Like, literally, like right behind it, the money will find yourself. So it's a great point, man. It's a very, 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 without doubt, truthful statement of money is a proof of service, man. Great, great answer. Nick, man, it's been great having you on the show. Yeah, thanks for having me. And again, we'll put the show notes of where they can find you on your website as well as YouTube channel. And I think I heard you just broke 10,000 subscribers. We're a couple thousand short. Just getting close to it. We're like 9,800 or something. And I think is it at 100,000 you get your first YouTube plaque? I think so. Is it 100,000? I think so. Yeah, so you'll get there, man. I can see it in your future, dude. Because again, you're going to lead with providing the service, not just for the homeowners, but now for people that want to go do the deals themselves. Yeah. Provide that service for them, and they will click on there and subscribe for sure. If you're watching the show today, you should go subscribe because there is a ton of service that they can provide for you with Nick. You guys watching the show, I hope you enjoyed watching Nick Fullmer, where money is a proof of service, and we'll see you guys next week on the Money Is Show.